Coming up this week on the Digital Lifestyle Show, Gary's here, and we're going to round up on our tech news over the last couple of weeks as we've been on. So I've got a new synth to play with. We'll be talking about that. Gary's got new smart home things to play with as well, and I've got some new videos. Please check out the synth guessing video where if you know your mod wave from your wave state or your multi-poly, then check that video out. Right, let's get straight to Gary. Gary, good evening.
Good evening.
And Merry Christmas. Well, it's Christmas Eve. Almost Christmas.
Almost Christmas. Close enough. Close enough. Yeah.
I was going to put my Christmas jumper on, but it's way too warm for that. I've got the Windows Vista one, and it's really warm. So, sorry, I'm not looking festive and Christmassy, but I suppose I could try and change my colour lights to more of a Christmassy one, but I think we'll keep it with the bright lights. So welcome to our Christmas Eve show. We're just kind of squeezing this in, really, because we wanted to get a show out because we haven't done one in a couple of weeks. Because, you've got lots of things you're working on. I've got something new as well. So, we thought we'll just squeeze this little show out and we'll get it out for Christmas Eve. And then viewers can enjoy it over Christmas. And, and then we'll be back in the new year with more guests and interviews and other stuff. Well, so I know you've got lots of stuff to work on, but before you dive into that, I just want to share what I've been playing with. I have here, if I get the wires to reach here, this is a Korg opsix module.
Oh, lovely.
Which is a bit like the other ones in the range. So this is actually Raspberry Pi, I think it's a 4 compute module powered. But it's a altered FM synthesizer. So essentially what it is, if you think back to the DX7, the 80s DX7 and classics, and other DXs, like, just to give you a comparison, I've got this one here. This is a 1985 DX100. So what Korg did with the opsix is they've took that classic DX100, DX7 6 operator FM synthesis, made it into a modern environment and giving you lots of options. So you can do all the classic FM sounds, like you can collect the electric pianos and the basses and everything else as you could in the day. But the way the FM synthesis works is very mathematics, really. So you've got one oscillator, not oscillators, they're called operators, who's a carrier, and then you've got modulators, and the modulator modulates the carrier, and you hear the output. So you get essentially sine waves, and one sine wave modifies the other sine wave. And the DX7 and all that range was 6 sine waves, and you could have them in different stacks. So you could have 2 pairs of 3 or 4 pairs of 2 and that kind of thing. What the opsix does is has exactly that, but you could also have different waveforms. So you don't have to have sine waves. You can have sawtooth, pulse width, additive waves. And you can also have ring modulators. You can have filters, analog style filters in there. There's an analog filter on the end of it as well, and effects and everything else. And of course, you've got this nice visual control over it. So it's really interesting. Really get some really interesting sounds. Very different from any of the other synths that I've been programming. Of course, it takes me back to my first synth, which was the DX100, which I showed before. That's a 4 operator synth, 1985, I think it is. I got it when I was 14 or 15, 14, I think I would have been. But I never spent that much time programming because it was quite complicated through the little membrane buttons, and this makes it really nice and easy. So I really enjoyed programming that, coming up with some new sounds and some tutorials as well. And there's a nice sequencer in there and virtual patching and all that kind of stuff. So very interesting, really, really nice stuff you can do with it. So first video out, and I've got lots more to work on with that. So plenty to play on over Christmas, because I'm going to finish my album ready for the new year. So it should be a new album in the new year, not without much of this synth on it, with all because I'd only just got it. So that's what I've been up to, and I guess you've been playing with some stuff as well, especially with doing all your build in your house.
Yeah, so I'll start off with something I was trying to get working on last program we were on, which was actually a couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it? Which is the Fair Matter proximity sensor, which I showed on the show. And I was having struggled getting it connected, and I finally worked out it was actually nothing to do with the device. It was to do with my thread network. The first time I'd tried Matter over thread, and actually getting my thread network sorted out was a pain, to say the least. So I'd shared credentials from my Eero to thread, but it appeared my Eero actually had 3 separate Matter thread networks somehow set up, and so. In our house, we have Alexa devices and Echo devices. Some are on my account, some are on Ruth's account, some are on sort of on a shared account. So there's kind of like 3 lots of Echoes, and because of that, it actually created 3 separate thread networks, and it was connecting to one network, but I was actually looking at a different network. So hopefully I got all that sorted out. Sorted it out, so it's a single network now. Added it, and this thing works brilliantly. So it's battery powered. It has been running now for 2 weeks. It has not even left 1%, lost 1% of charge on the batteries, just the 2 AA batteries. Makes it quite chunky, as you saw the other week. It's quite sort of like big, that size. But it works. It has 2 modes. One where if you have it USB powered, you get a bit more sensitivity, but on battery power, it just works. I mean, it's doing all the stuff that all the MMR, the microwave based sensors work. So obviously PIR sensors just work on movement, and then waves ones work on little tiny movements, so including your heartbeat, and it actually senses people effectively. And it just works. It works 100% on the connection. So I've got one of those up in my kitchen, which is turning on the little LED lights I've got under the cabinet as you walk up, and can work. And the other great thing about it, this thing has also got a light sensor in it as well, so you can work out if you need to turn the lights on, because if it's bright cloud sunlight, you don't need to turn the lights on, so you can control it that way. And the other clever thing I've used one of these, I like this so much, I've actually acquired 2 more of them because they just work, and the batteries are good. And once you get it set up on Matter thread, it's really reliable. It just seems to stay rock solid, which is really good. So I've been working, basically doing that on in my utility room as well. Now, one of the problems in the new utility room, when we poor design on our part, and we didn't actually think about this, but we did put a radiator in the utility room. We just thought it'd get enough heat from some of the other rooms. And it doesn't work because we also soundproof the utility room, so it's really well sealed. Why would you soundproof a utility room? Well, it's because we've got the tumble dryer and the washing machine there, so we didn't want most of that coming out of it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we went to, and that actually means it's really well insulated, which also means it stays really cold. And as we've got water in there, we didn't want that to get in cold. So I actually bought a really interesting site. Behind me I've got this panel, which is a heater on the wall behind me, which is an infrared. I've actually bought a roll-up far infrared heater, which is quite interesting. It's just a mat which looks like a picture, and it rolls up and you can take it away, and it hangs on the wall. So because I didn't have a lot of space, and it was quite a small thing, but it was really cheap. It was 40 quid or so, and it runs about half a kilowatt an hour to run it. So about 500 watt hours to run it. So it's not that expensive to run, less than a kettle to run, and it heats up really quickly. And it can warm space really quickly. So it takes about 4 or 5 seconds to get up to really quite nice temperature, and it feels like the sun on your back. And it just gives you that little bit of warmth in that room when you walk into it. And because it warms up so quickly, and it warms people rather than the surroundings, I thought, well, why not have it just warm up when someone walks in the room? So I've got this proximity sensor now checking to see as you walk to the room, because it's angled at the angle. So you can basically see through the door, because it's got these MM ones will go through certain materials, and it actually does seem to sense the other side of my door. So as you approach the door, it knows you're there, and it turns the heating on. And as you open the door, you get that warmth. It's warmed up enough, so you get that warmth of the sun effectively.
Right. Yeah. Feels like the sun's coming on you. Yeah.
And it works really well. It means it's only really running when someone's in there. I mean, it does run. It does have a setting to just keep the temperature above freezing effectively, so the water is in there if nobody went in there for a few days. But yeah, it's ticked up, and I think I've been now had this sensor in for 3 days. I'm just looking at how much I've spent. It has used, what's that, 375 watts, so 0.375 of a kilowatt over 3 days to actually keep the room warm. And it's not been that hot the last few days. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That's a very positive use of technology, I think.
I like that. Yeah.
And the other thing which I've been looking at is that obviously when you have a bathroom and a shower, you get humidity and you have extractor fans, and so you need to have an extractor fan to get rid of the humidity out of the room. But how do you control that extractor fan? Do you have it come on when the light switch goes on? Because then a lot of the time someone's just gone in there, not turned any water on or anything, and come straight out.
Yeah.
Breaking the fan. So I've actually put in our new ensuite. So I've put humidity sensors, and now if the humidity starts to rise in the room, so I haven't triggered it on a sort of a level, because you don't humidity changes throughout the year based on the temp, climate, and whatever. But if you start running a shower or you're running a tap for a long time, your humidity will start to rise in the room.
Yeah.
But if the humidity rises by more than 2%, the fan turns on.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then it starts extracting, and then it drops again. And this again seems to work really well, because then the humidity will drop down again, and the fan will turn off. So it seems to. It's sort of like this intelligent home stuff I've been talking about for some time. It's how you actually manage it. And I can just reach down beside me, see if I put it. So this is
I've got one of those sensors in the greenhouse that measures the humidity as well. So yeah, you could use that over a trigger.
So yeah, Sonoff have been sending me a lot of stuff for review recently. And they actually just sent me this. Is something they literally just launched last week. Is one of their new Sonar temperature guides. This is a Zigbee temperature gauge. As you say, it's got a really nice little screen on it. It's like a nice desktop temperature gauge, but it's over Zigbee, so you can use it in smart home automation. It syncs with Home Assistant really nicely, and also it does all the various brands. Obviously, if you use their own hub, you get a bit more control over it, but it's basically really.
You need a hub of some sort with that.
You would, because it's Zigbee, you need something, but they do a non-Zigbee version as well. But this is a standard Zigbee version. I mean, you could use something like an Amazon device, an Echo or something like that, because they have Zigbee built into them, so you could use that to connect it up. But again, very, very, very long battery life on this. It's rated in years of battery life, so I'm all see how that works. But it's really sensitive, and it updates pretty quickly as well, which is what I needed for that bathroom sensor. So I'm really pleased with that. And talking about stuff and what I've been beavering away on here, so let me just tilt my camera over this way and press my button. See if I can get my camera to turn around. So, there we go. We've seen this device before. This is the NSPanel Pro. Now this is breaking news, because this has literally happened as we're recording. Version 4 of their operating system has been created, and as you can see, says it's connecting to Home Assistant. This is actually running the Home Assistant app natively on the NSPanel Pro. So they've actually added an app store to it's the F-Droid app store to the NSPanel Pro now, and you can download apps and run them on them. And you can, as you can see, you can run the Home Assistant app natively, and it works, and it's a lot quicker to respond. Well, it was a lot quicker to respond. It seems to stop at the moment. Typical about ago. So I find the touch sensitivity a little bit dodgy on it, but there we go. There we go. Typical when you're trying to do something, it doesn't want to connect, but anyway, it does work. So yeah, it's pretty good. And I had it running earlier, and it was running really quickly. So yeah, as with all these things, there's a little bit of flakiness to some of the stuff, but when it works really well. And it's going to be way better than just using the web page on it, because that was really flaky. And this gives you all the sensors you have with the normal version of Home Assistant. So I guess you could use it completely as a panel. It's not going to be the fastest thing in the world, because this effectively is an ESP chip underneath it running it. But it's nice to see that they've actually got that now working, because they released 4 of the operating system some time ago, and then had to pull it because there were issues with it. So to see it back out again just in time for Christmas, it's a nice Christmas present from Sonoff for people who've got these devices, because that will make them very much more usable. And obviously, there's more apps than just the. Since now, it just happens to be the one I'm interested in, but there's a lot of other things you could install F-Droid door. So good to see that working. I need to play with it. I'm literally just playing with it as we were starting recording. I was looking off screen a few times.
Yeah.
I hadn't had a chance to really get it working, but yeah, it's gonna be good. I think it's going to work really well and be useful. So yeah, that's kind of some of the things. Now talk about things that they just launched on Sonar. This literally has come through the door just now. So this is what they call the AirGuard PM2.5. So this is yet again another sensor. Nice big screen on it. This is a Matter over Thread device, I believe. Yeah. Actually, no, it's a Wi-Fi device. So it's a Wi-Fi Matter device. And this will link in obviously over Matter, and it gives you your PM2.5, your particles, basically what your air quality is like as an option. So that's an air quality monitor. Again, quite a nice device. To open the box earlier to try and get a look at it. It's quite sizable, but it's you can sort of kind of see it's quite chunky. But it's you need a good sensor for a proper accurate PM2.5 reading. I will play a bit more of this over the Christmas period, and I'll report back in next time. And there's a sister to this as well, which is here. This is the AirGuard CO2. This is one I'm particularly interested in. This is going to give you carbon monoxide or dioxide reading. So which would be interesting to see what that's like. I'm not sure carbon dioxide is useful as compared to carbon monoxide, which would be more useful perhaps in houses. But
yeah, carbon monoxide is what's killing you, isn't it? Carbon dioxide is the greenhouse gas, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. But I'll play a bit more with this and see what it's like. Again, this is a Matter. Check it. It's over Wi-Fi. It is over Wi-Fi option. So yeah, another useful device to work with. So that's can't get in the box of this one. That's the first challenge: how to get in the box. But it's good to see these things coming out. There's a whole raft of stuff starting to appear now for Matter. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but IKEA have moved all their smart devices from Zigbee to Matter. So it is starting to happen this Matter. So yeah, I've got this out of the box, and it's got, you always wonder why they've got two separate devices for this, because that looks identical to the last device. But the one's got PM2.5 and one's got CO2. So it's interesting what they're talking about. Let's see if there's any notes on this, whether it does. Well, your instructions are just a QR code. So.
Yeah, that's. We've gone from having manuals that were like this big, haven't we? Yeah. Like, computer manager to yeah. It was like with synths, I used to get, we forgot, say that DX100. It came with 4 separate manuals, big thick manuals, while this latest one has a nice manual, but it's a PDF.
Actually, there is actually a manual in here. It's just tucked away underneath, but very small manual. So, yeah, interesting. So, can be. It's got a stand. Can be or it could be wall mounted if you wanted to. And that's basically all it says in here. Doesn't say much else in the manual. But yeah, it's interesting how these two work out, and I'll try them out in time for the New Year's show, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be good, yeah.
Yeah, so else I've been playing with. Yes, so obviously communicating quite a lot of Matter over Wi-Fi stuff. That seems to be the sort of what people say. So this would have been a year or so ago. This would have been a straight Wi-Fi plug. Now it's a Matter Wi-Fi plug. I mean, it's quite nice to be in that Matter base because you can plug it into anything. A home system kind of natively will work with Matter nowadays. So yeah, just scan the QR code and add it in, and away you go.
So if I got I've got some of these like plugs like these one. This is a GoSund one, I think. It's a standard smart plug. It goes on the Wi-Fi, everything else. If you got one of those ones with Matter, and what's the difference? How would I control it?
So you wouldn't have to use their app for starters. Right. So basically, the Matter standard it's a little bit vague, but the Matter standard is supposed to be interoperability. And each provider of a Matter device also provides a plugin to allow you to control that Matter device, which can then be used within applications. So if it was Matter over Wi-Fi, then virtually all the Matter controllers, which is like the Amazons of the world, Google Home, Smart Things, Home Assistant, will actually just allow you to access it and open. The other great thing is if you're an Apple user, you can use it in your iPhone as well to add devices. Which are compatible.
So you don't have to get like their special app to get it all set up and everything else.
That's the idea. Now, my experience is it doesn't always work as well as that. That some of the devices that you lose a lot of functionality when you put them on Matter compared to running them on their own application. But most things, it's getting better. Most things are starting to become more usable now. So yeah, it's quite good. When you can,
and I suppose as well, does it mean like if you were using it with like your home setup, your existing setups, you don't need to use, you may set the plug up with their app, but you actually use the interoperability between, you're just using Matter rather than having to use their app within your system.
So you can plug them into automations usually pretty well, and that does tend to work. So that's the beauty of it. So I'm pulling everything into Home Assistant. My Home Assistant doesn't actually talk to much. I've got lots of different other hubs running which talk to different things directly, but indirectly it talks to all of them. And then I pull automations into one place. So on my dashboards and automations all running from the one point, which makes controlling it a little bit easier. Then I can plug in all my AI stuff as well, and that all works. So it's nice being able to pull things together. So having Matter makes that easier. It's only in the last couple of weeks I've actually felt that Matter's become mature enough to actually use. Most of the Matter devices I had arriving prior to that weren't actually particularly usable in third-party systems. They just lost so much functionality. As I say, it's improved quite a bit recently. I'm just sort of, so I'm looking at one of the devices I've just plugged in. It's got everything in Home Assistant, which it's got also in its native application. Whereas I've looked at some of the older stuff, like some of the Akara stuff, which will do Matter. My old proximity center, that only gave me about 1% of the stuff I could do. You can basically in Matter, I could see if it got motion or not. In its own app, I could set zones up. I could say where the motion was going. Whereas I couldn't do that in Matter. So I think it's improving. I think it's still got a long way to go. I don't think it's really as good as it should be, but it's getting better. Now the other thing about Matter is it's not. You have to look at what type of Matter it is. So you see a Matter device. So I've mentioned two things so far: Matter over Wi-Fi, Matter over Thread. Now Matter over Wi-Fi is just often known as just Matter. And that's where it's working on your Wi-Fi system. It has to log onto your Wi-Fi system. Still, I still can't believe in this day and age it's still only 2.4 gig. Most of these things, you think they'd actually allow you to do 5 gig connections, but still mostly 4. But Matter over Thread obviously is using a thread router. Now, what's a thread router? So you remember the Nest thermostats when they first came out? They had their own network standard. It was kind of based on Wi-Fi, but wasn't Wi-Fi. It was using different frequencies, and that's basically what Thread is. It's the old Nest thermostat networking. Pretty reliable. A bit like Zigbee. It's a mesh network. Every device which is what's called a thread router or thread border router. So there's two types of thread routers and thread border. Border routers allow you to connect to another service basically. So you can hook up to a border router to actually talk to your thread network. And as I mentioned earlier, you can have multiple devices running together to form a mesh thread network, and it can be really, really reliable once you get your thread management together. It seems a bit immature at times. I mean, the whole way of managing networks in Nero and Alexa doesn't give you very much control over things. So I'm a bit skeptical about that. But the way when you get it set up, it is reliable and it's rock solid. I actually prefer the thread devices to the Wi-Fi devices. Wi-Fi, obviously, you've got all the interference. You have a normal Wi-Fi stuff, and you've got everything else you're trying to run on the network. If latency is important to you, then you probably don't want to be using Wi-Fi. So things where you've got sensors and you're wanting updates quickly, for my mind, it's better to use thread there. And I tend to prefer either a Zigbee device or Matter thread device for that, because Wi-Fi's you're not guaranteed to get your updates in the sort of time scales you want to get them in, especially when you operate things like fans to humidity things. So you do that. I mean, and sometimes you get some oddities. I mean, I've got an oddity going on at the moment with my blink cameras. I've mentioned this before. I was using the blink cameras for my AI scanning facial recognition, and it's working really nicely. And suddenly, the last few weeks, they've stopped doing notifications of motion. So they still record the clips, and they're still working themselves, but actually sending the notification back to home system doesn't seem to be working anymore.
Right.
And why that's changed, I don't know. I haven't seen any updates or anything which should cause that. And Blink's probably changed something behind the scenes, but they're not Matter devices. They're just their own proprietary stuff. So they don't have to guarantee their interface, whereas if they didn't Matter device, then they would have had to guarantee it, and the third party could have worked on the basis that it's not going to change. So I think that there are some advantages in that respect, but yeah, it's definitely some strange things. So that was a bit interesting. So I'm currently thinking, do I put a couple of motion sensors alongside the blink camera so I know that they always get motion? Because I can still trigger them to capture images and stuff, and it's not a problem in that respect. It's just
Yeah, you've got to make a decision which way you connect it.
Yes, yeah. So it's a challenge. So yeah, that's kind of been where I've been with all the smart home world of the last few weeks. So I'm just about to put a video up on the Fascinating Tech channel about this NSPanel Pro change for this home assistant. So you can see that. But yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work, but I suppose once you put the work in, like things with the humidity and things, it just gets all automated. Then you can sort of forget it. I put my Logitech in. It was to set the TV in the sky and everything. It's a bit fiddling around, but now everybody uses it, and it is pretty straightforward. And yeah, you don't have to mess with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? Once you get it up and running, you can leave it. But mainly, I mean, a lot of it is just it's just interesting. It's a hobby in itself, isn't it? Building
it's
stuff.
a hobby.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a hobby. The problem is, it's a hobby in itself which affects the family. So you have to get it right. It has to have that family acceptance factor. It has to be. It's like I said, my grandparents, my kids' grandparents are coming to stay this holiday. So my mum's coming, and she's not very good with technology. She never grew up with it, so it's not something she finds it quite scary at times. So things just have to work for her. You don't want to make it difficult for her. So she thinks proximity lighting is magic. So but when it works really well. And the proximity lighting I've got for the kitchen, I think I'm really pleased with. It's just working so naturally right. It changes. So it's things like if someone comes into the kitchen at night, then the lighting comes on, but it comes on duller, and it has has a slightly pink tinge to it, which is better for your eyes at night.
oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So things like that to do it. But the other one, which is really clever, I've got it set up at the moment, so it detects proximity, and then it actually sort of backtracks using the AI to see if I've passed a particular point in the house, or if the girls have passed a particular point in the house. And if the girls have passed a particular point in the house, when they come into the room, the Christmas lights go on. Rather than the other normal lights. So the and that's an audio sensing version. So basically the WLED controller, WLED controller, which I've got as my main controller for all my new lights. And I really recommend it. It's a very, very powerful toolkit. That has actually got a microphone built into the controller, so I'm able to use sound sensitivity on it. So it actually thinks it is so sensitive, it detects footsteps coming into the room, and it will react. The bar will actually react to the footsteps, so it's doing sound recognition, sound
That's
reaction,
good.
and it's really really pretty to watch. It's quite an spectacular display. And the other thing is, I've actually put these down the ceiling of the kitchen, so we've got basically this bar light across the seats. It looks like an old fluorescent tube in some ways, just because it's hidden in a quadrant cornice type thing at the top of the but then it's got the LEDs behind it, so it's almost a bit of a surprise when it starts doing things because you're not really expecting it, and it's segmented, so you can do quite nice effects with it. Quite big segments, so you can't do mini type things, but it still works quite nicely and flows really nicely as well. So that's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's nice. I've got my twinkly lights on the tree and outside as well. So I've got a set of twinkly candies on the tree and the twinkly C9s and twinkly icicles outside. They work really nice as well. Because that's the one where you use your camera to do the mapping. So you can put them on the tree however you like. Use the camera to do the mapping, and then the patterns are in there. And then I think I've talked about this before in a couple of years. But then you get the nice app where you can do the sort of the visualizations and the mapping of it. And yeah, I was really like that. I think they're on now. I think so then you've got all the different effects that you can program into a playlist. And I think so. Doesn't seem much, but there's the sort of the outside layout because they're going in a vertical way. And if I change to my tree, you can see how the sort of the effect it is on the tree as well.
That mapping thing's really cool. I mean, it's something obviously if you do something like WLED, which is more home grown site thing, you haven't got that, so you have to map them individually, which is a lot more difficult. And then Twinkly did a fantastic job of that. That's really good software for doing that.
Yeah. So it's quite a neat little thing, but again, now once I've done it, you can just leave it, and it just works, and just map them when I plug them in, and I set the tree up, and the same with the outside ones as well. So I did that. So I want to get some more for next year, but I did try and get one of those inflatable Santas that climbs up a ladder thing. I got it from Amazon, and it was broke when it arrived. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that was just one of those smart. I was just going to put it with one of the sort of GoSun smart plugs to do that. It's always fun that. But yeah, this time of year is great for doing your smart lights and everything else. I'll tell you what, the other thing I was trying to do, but I'm going to have to my little display thing there. I've got that mixer, that 10-channel mixer, and I want to put the e-ink display. I want to put what's on each synth, which synths on each channel. So then I can take the e-ink display off the Pi and just clip it onto the mixer. Because I'm always changing things. So, I mean, I could use sticky labels, but where's the fun in that? But I can't get my Raspberry Pi to boot up. I re-imaged it. The imaging bit worked. It let me do that, but then it just can't read from the FAT table. So I presume it means I need a new SD card. But I've tried 3. You have those things lying around. I've tried 3, and 2 of them are dead and don't show up in Windows at all to image it. And this one's images fine, but then doesn't boot up. So I don't know whether it's the Pi or the. I have got a Raspberry Pi 400. I think it's in the loft, so I'll have to go over Christmas. But yeah, it was a simple little thing I wanted to do, and just to. It would benefit a nice long thin strip, but because it's the e-ink, it's like stick. I can just leave it on there. It doesn't need any power or anything. So I thought I'd get that working for today to show you, but I didn't get it to work. But it's the first time I've used the Raspberry Pi bootloader for some time, the imaging tool, and it's pretty good now. Actually, it's a lot more in it than it used to be. You put all the Wi-Fi credentials in there, and you can set up SSH, and you can do it all within that initial screen, which was good. But sadly, I couldn't get it to work today. It was yesterday when I was doing it. So I'll have to get my Pi 400 out of the loft, I think, and see if the SD card will, or find another SD card. That's probably what I should try and do.
Yeah, probably get a reliable SD card.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I mean, these I've had no issues with it. I've been using them for a while, but yeah, I know there's different problems, different issues with it, so I'll see. I'll give it another test over Christmas, and hopefully I'll have I'll have that little idea. It's only a little thing, but I can never remember which synth I plugged into which on the mixer. So a label, a little label thing would do, but yeah, I keep changing the labels, so do it that way.
I have managed to get this home assistant thing running, so I thought I'd just show it. Actually,
Right. Oh yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
So it's actually loaded the dashboard fine, and it's working really quickly as well. So I'm really pleased about how quickly it's actually responding to things. That compared to what the website version of it was, it's much better. I think touch targets are a little bit dodgy. That's the one thing I'm finding out actually where I'm touching on the screen. So I've obviously got quite big buttons on this screen, but the ones I go into.
Yeah.
And that error has nothing to do with this added panel. It's just to do with where I'm loading the wallpaper I use behind from, which doesn't always seem to work. But yeah, it's quite cool.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's quite a nice display, little display, don't it?
It is, yeah, and it's built into. I mean, I'm running. I can't see, but I'm running it on in a sort of black box unit, but it's actually a standard UK single back box, so you can just plug. You can put the wall basically and wire it in the wall. So, and that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to put this out. This is actually going to go out my garage as a controller for things I need to control in the garage. I like the idea of panels used for very specific things, because most of the time, as you know, I try to make sure that everything is an intelligent house. It's not, the house is actually doing things itself rather than you have to do things. But there are times when you can't get that intelligence. So like opening my driveway gate, I don't want to do that automatically. I want to control that. So I've got a button for that, and it's a very simple big button you can see there. So it's really keeping things really simple. Is what I think is the best way to go. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That's going very nicely now. One thing I have found is once you're reading the screen, you can't get out of it, which is actually quite good. There is a hidden button you can get to do it, but yeah, it's unlike the old version where it was in the Home Assistant, and it was really easy to come out of it accidentally by swiping or whatever. So yeah, I'm good with that. So yeah, I'll play with it a bit more, but so far so good.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice solution, that.
Yeah, as I say, breaking news today, because it's come out.
Yeah. Excellent. Have you got any other gadgets you've been working on?
Not so much gadget. I mean, more actual sort of automations and things. So one of the things I did do this year. So our Christmas tree lights we kept pretty simple this year because, to be honest, we couldn't find the Christmas tree lights I was actually using last year with all the mess we've got with all the builders in. So I've actually found some little battery powered Christmas tree lights, but I actually got a USB to battery converter, and I've only seen these. These are basically a USB plug on one end, a little dongle in the middle, and then on each end of them, they've actually got little AA batteries.
Yes, I've seen that, because we've got a couple of those things, and I hate them because they just use batteries and you can't time them, and so that's a really good idea.
Yeah, so literally plug those in and then put those in the automation and control those, which is really nice. I did have a couple of issues with that because when you switch on the box, it has a timer on it. So if you turn the power off when the timer is off on that box, next time it comes on, it comes off and comes in the off state. So you have to make sure you turn the power off within the timer limit of the box. And then next time it comes on the on state and restarts the timer. But it's so yeah, it's really good. So yeah, it's so far I'm happy with how that's working. It's kept it simple. I've been using the projector, the laser projector, the Govee laser projector I mentioned last year, projecting Christmas decorations on the front of the house. It's like a big piece of house to project it on now, which is quite fun. I think one thing I don't like about that is how small, short the cable that comes with it is. It's just they come and give you an extender, but even the extender's not that long. So I had to go and getting an extension cable for a deep one of the barrel plugs. Is quite tricky to get the right size because they're all different sizes, but got there in the end, and that's working. Because I have to get there quite a bit of distance away from the house to make it work. And just a little bit. I mean, I would say there probably are better projectors, laser projectors than that one now. And it works. I mean, it's rugged and it stays outside all year and doesn't, and always seems to work when I turn it on. So I guess that's a good thing. But it's a little bit limited in what it can do, what it can actually do. So that's quite good. Actually, I have got another bit of news, a bit of EV news. So we've talked about charging networks. So up till now, all the Moto service stations on the motorway services, to try and get the right words there, have been using GridServe as their main provider. But Moto have just launched their own charging network, which is going to be interesting. So yeah, so that's a competitor coming in. I'm interested to see how that works out, what chargers they're using. The other thing I keep mentioning was that the Morrison's deal which was previously with a provider which it's just gone completely out of my head, but wasn't very good. it was not particularly reliable. Has now been handed over to the MFG group, Motor Fuel Group, and what's known as EV Power chargers, and they've been replacing all the old chargers at the Motor Morrison's, and they worked really well now. So that's actually quite a good point for chargers. Whereas before it's somewhere you actually tended to avoid because the chargers weren't going to work. It's now actually somewhere which is usable. So that's worth knowing. I think that's basically where we are.
Well, it's a good time of year for gadgets and everything else. So we'll see what Christmas.
I was going to say, what's on your Christmas wish list?
Well, it's very difficult. I don't think anybody could. They're not going to be buying me a synthesizer or anything like that. One, there's no room, but it's very trivial. So I'll probably just be looking for some nice vinyls or something like that. That's that kind of thing. Even things like synthesizer books are actually fairly rare. We've had Ollie Freak on the show, who he's still working on his drum machines book. So, but that's not out till I think at least next year. So, yeah. So it's hard. I guess it's the same for you as well. You can't. You're very specific in what devices you've got your Matter one or your right one. So a family can't just buy you a smart whatever plug because it's not necessarily going to fit with you. So I suppose they avoid buying you things like that.
Yeah, technology is not something they tend to buy for me. I mean, it'd be shoes and socks and things like that because that's the way it is.
I think so.
But I mean, it's occasionally you get the odd thing. I got a really nice little temperature gauge last year, which I wasn't expecting. That was good. Oh, actually, I just remember something as well, which I mentioned. I think I mentioned this last couple of weeks ago. This mod mode by Candia. This is really cool because you can change the buttons on that. And one thing I have put on my Christmas list is some new buttons for one of these, so I can change the buttons over because you can just buy them very cheaply. So I think that's quite good. But yeah, this is working really well. It's acting as the controller. So talk about all the kitchen lights being automatic, but sometimes you just want to override them. Sometimes you want the Christmas lights on. So you just press the button on there and the Christmas lights will come on. So you've got that sort of control available to you.
Yeah, that's nice. I've still got my routines: cancel Christmas and it's Christmas, which are the two that you use enough.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this is, I really like the design of this because it's magnetic, so it'll stick on a fridge or something like that if you want to. It's got a back plate you can use, which is metal, so you can just stick it on the wall, so it's quite nice. So you can flip it over, do any direction you like, change what you want to do. It just works. It's very, very solid. A little bit difficult to interface because it didn't plug into smart things into Home Assistant as well as I'd liked it to do. It didn't come across. It was missing one of the buttons. Festive. It could see through the buttons, but not the other one. But I got around that by writing routines in Smart Things to actually just sort of come up with some pseudo buttons to make it work. But yeah, other than that, it's good. But yeah, that's working really well.
Excellent. Well, enjoy your Christmas. I'm sure you've got a house full and lots going on. It's always a busy time. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So so enjoy your Christmas break. We'll be back in the new year. I can't remember the exact schedule, but we have got some interviews coming up and lots of other shows. Oh, big thanks as well to Rob Pulicelli for last week's show. Talking about the Fairlight. That is a vintage computer stroke mode musical instrument, so definitely right up our alley.
Yeah, incredible that was. I really enjoyed that.
Yes, thanks, Rob. So we'll get more shows coming up in the new year. I think CES is coming up in January. Kind of that's always comes straight into January, isn't it? So we'll be seeing you then. So Gary, where can we find you?
You can find me on all the social medias as at Gary WMA. That's Gary 2Rs. And you can also find my YouTube channel for Fascinating Tech, which is about to have its first video up for ages, and also the EV owner channel as well for all the EV stuff.
Excellent. Right. Well, looking forward to watching those videos. You can find me at thedigitallifestyle.com, and all the links are on there. Check out the YouTube channel. I've got some sound packs that I've put on there. There's a synth challenge as well that I've just released yesterday. So you go on there, have a listen, and I'll play the sounds and you guess which synths produce which sounds. There's only a small set, so it's not too difficult. And I'm going to post the answers in a couple of weeks as well. And I've got a couple of course videos on my course, a YouTube course on programming synths. So the first two are up now. So there's a video on programming mono synths and a video on programming analog polysynths. And I've got more to come as I do the different synths as well. But yeah, if you think you know your mod wave from your wave state or your multi-poly, then check that video out. And there's 13 different demos, and you can say which one you think is which synth. And then I've got the answer video coming out probably between Christmas and New Year or just after.
I'll have to have a go at that.
Yeah, it seems dead easy actually because I know the answers, but a few people have had a go and said actually it's really difficult. But yeah, that should be a good fun one. Right, well, great. Well, enjoy your Christmas. We'll see you in the new year, and have fun.
You too. Take care.